Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a really close look at a massive challenge in the B2B space, specifically how energy brands try and often fail to expand globally. It's a story we see literally all the time. A highly successful company decides to enter a new region, right? They pour money into a massive marketing campaign, and then crickets. They quietly fail. Why does this happen? Well, it's usually because leadership treats market entry like a simple launch run, straight from headquarters. They kind of just assume, hey, what worked at home is absolutely going to work abroad. But as we're about to see from the source material today, market entry in the energy sector isn't just a launch, it's an engineered build. Okay, let's dive into this. There's a phrase that perfectly captures this harsh reality. The product travels, the pipeline does not. You can easily pack a piece of hardware onto a ship or deploy a software solution across a border. That's the easy part. But what definitely doesn't travel are the intangible things that actually generated revenue for you back home. Your track record? Gone. Your reference customers? Totally irrelevant. That golden word-of-mouth reputation you spent literally decades building inside a buying community, it instantly resets to absolute zero the second you step into a new region. You are starting from scratch, even if the impatience of your board of directors hasn't reset at all. So this brings us to Section 1, the expansion trap. Let's look at why that pipeline actually fails. This trap is basically a structural failure mode, and it plagues so many brilliant companies who try to run new markets strictly from the center. Think about the comfort of your home market playbook. That's where your track record, your glowing word of mouth, and your deep existing relationships live. It feels safe, right? But contrast that with the target market reality. Everything resets. The regulatory framework is completely different. The channels that carry trust aren't the same, and honestly, you're an unknown brand going head-to-head with competitors who already hold the local relationships. If you try to force-feed a home market playbook into this new reality without engineering it for local conditions, you're not going to get traction. You'll just produce a lot of really busy-looking marketing while your sales pipeline stays completely empty. Moving right along to Section 2, trust over awareness, and getting past the procurement gate. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that it requires a total pivot in how we think. See, in the B2B energy sector, simply getting your name out there doesn't matter one bit if you aren't trusted first. Energy buyers are not individual consumers making quick impulse decisions. No way. We're talking about procurement-led committees running highly formal, rigid vendor qualification processes. Whether you're dealing with a utility, a national oil company, or a major EPC contractor, they pre-qualify vendors based on hard evidence. So if you run a massive brand awareness campaign but lack local proof, what happens? Well, you might land an initial meeting, sure, but that meeting is going to immediately die in procurement because an unproven brand, no matter how famous it is globally, simply fails the qualification gate. You absolutely must become credible to evaluate, not just visible. Which leads us perfectly into Section 3, real proposition localization. And we're talking way beyond just simple translation here. We really need to hash out the critical difference between translating your marketing collateral and truly localizing your value proposition. To put this into perspective, get a load of this staggering number, 81%. The data shows that 81% of B2B buyers are more likely to make a purchase when the experience is localized to their specific needs and their specific regulations. Translating an English brochure into Arabic or Spanish, that's the easy, visible part, but it's not where the value actually sits. In energy, the experience is the proposition itself. So, what does real localization actually look like? Well, it rests on three absolutely crucial pillars. First, regulatory and compliance fit. If you try to push, say, an EU emissions narrative, like CSRD or CBAM, into the Gulf region, where disclosure is still largely voluntary, you're going to be quietly disqualified. You have to reframe for the local rules. Second, your local content and partnership narrative. You can't just pitch product features anymore. You need a local value story. And third, proof and references right there in the market. Buyers want to see evidence from their own backyard. A single credible local reference account is literally worth 10 times more than a massive stack of case studies from your home country. All right, Section 4, the local content gatekeepers. These are the non-negotiable rules of the game. We are talking about the strict regulatory layers that dictate who is even allowed to submit a bid in some of the most lucrative energy markets in the entire world. Take a look at a couple of major examples: Saudi Aramco's IKTVA program and the UAE's ICV program. These are local content rules that aggressively score suppliers on the local value they create. And here's the kicker: those scores feed directly into tender outcomes. So the crucial point is this. You could have an absolutely superior world-class product, but if you don't have a solid local content strategy, you will easily lose the contract to an inferior product that just happens to have a strong local value score. It's not just a footnote. It is the ultimate gatekeeper. And because of those gatekeepers, your entry narrative has to adapt. From day one, you absolutely must lead with a local entity, local hiring, local manufacturing, or an established local partnership. You can't just bolt this on as an afterthought once you've already lost a major tender. The brands that win build this commitment into their core positioning right from the start. You've got to treat local content fluency as a core competence of your expansion, not just a box to check. Finally, we arrive at Section 5, the beachhead sequence. This is how you execute a controlled launch. So how do we pull all of this together into a strategy that actually works, without wasting an entire year on a failed broad launch? The solution is a controlled 4-phase sequence. Enter, localize, prove, and scale. Energy sales cycles are notoriously long, right? We're often talking 6 to 18 months. If you try to launch countrywide without proof, you're just going to burn through your resources and your time. Instead, you need to establish a beachhead. You concentrate your resources on a single high-potential segment in one geography to produce a repeatable motion before you ever turn up the marketing spend. And this brilliantly illustrates how we can press those long sales cycles. Let's move to and see how this builds across the 4 phases. In phase 1, enter, your objective isn't mass awareness. Actually, scratch that. It's just to assemble the baseline certifications and presence to pass that very first qualification gate. Then, in phase 2, localize, you adapt the proposition to local regulations so a committee can actually evaluate you without throwing you out. Phase 3, prove, is the golden ticket. Your entire goal here is to win and thoroughly document one single credible in-region reference account. Once you have that live customer that the next buyer recognizes and trusts, only then do you move to phase 4, scale, where you repeat this validated motion across adjacent segments. But listen, none of that sequence works without one underlying fundamental reality. Boots on the ground is not a cost to minimize, it is the exact mechanism that makes the entry convert. You literally cannot run this from a boardroom 5,000 miles away. Empowering local partners or having a physical presence is absolutely essential. That's what allows you to accurately read the market, adapt your proposition fast enough to actually matter, and most importantly, build that local trust we've been talking about this whole time. So, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Is your next market entry a launch or an engineered build? Think about it. If you're just broadcasting your home market playbook outward, you're merely launching, and you're likely heading straight for that expansion trap. But if you're sequencing your entry, focusing on localized proof, and establishing a credible beachhead first, well then you are engineering your success. Take a hard look at your go-to-market expansion strategy and ask yourself if you're truly ready to build. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I really hope this gives you the exact blueprint you need to win your next market.